Hey guys, it's Sinner here with a guide on how to win in Slay the Spire. So first I'm just going to start off, we're just going to quickly pick up and open up a standard game here. We'll just turn that off. So first thing you do when you arrive in Slay the Spire is always click on the map, scroll up, see what boss is at the end. So you can see here, the end of this act for me would be Hexaghost. Now that we know Hexaghost is at the end, we scroll back down and we look at the routes. So the best way to decide routes is first 3 combats in a floor are always easy, and that even means something like this. If you go 1, 2, shop, and then another combat, say there was a combat here instead of an event or a question mark, that combat would be difficult. So this combat would be difficult. So if I went to the left here, it's a while before I actually get to difficult, what I like to call hallway fights, or basically just floor fights. Then there's another thing to look at after you've decided, okay, where do I want to go? Because you can see this route is pretty bad. You get a 4th combat, you get an unknown event, an elite, and then a bonfire if you do get beat up by this elite pretty good. And then you're going to have to fight another elite, and after that you can see the bonfire is way up here and you have to go through at least one more difficult fight. So this route, as you can see, would be very bad. Then you go on to the right side. You see the right side actually doesn't look too bad if you're planning to upgrade. Upgrade might help you beat the elite on this side. So now we have to talk about, so there's basically a bunch of things you want to do when you're at the start here. So you want to decide how much combat am I willing to do? What would be the benefits? So you can see there's shops, there's elites, and there's bonfires. Each one of these provides their certain thing. If you get a bonfire early, you're looking to upgrade a card in your deck. If you don't have any cards to upgrade, but at this point, Bash is always a good one to do. If you are in a large amount of money, so you do go through a lot of fights early on, usually you want to at least get 2 before you go to a shop, so you have at least around 150 to 200 to go to a shop. A shop is sort of allows you to decide what card you want, which is a lot less RNG than the random drops at the end of the thing, because there's about 8 cards you can buy in a shop and you can sort of decide out of those which ones benefit you the best. But there's also some other things you can do in a shop. For instance, buy a potion. Buying a potion would allow you to fight an elite. Fighting an elite, of course, boosts your deck, because in Act 1, you always want to get your deck as strong as possible. Now that you sort of know what you want to do, elites are really good in Act 1. They're a little bit more tricky in Act 2. Usually the elites in Act 2 really put up a fight. Usually the elites in Act 1 are where you are going to fight your core amount of elites, maybe Act 3 if you get a really powerful deck. But usually in Act 2 you sort of want to avoid the elites unless you built your deck really sturdy. Bonfires, very good for upgrading. You don't want to heal at these early. If you're healing at these early, you're cutting out your potential on Act 2, which really hurts your potential, of course, following into Act 3. Means you're about to sputter out and sizzle out. Shops are very good, but only if you get a large amount of gold. So now that we've talked about what to do when you first start the game, always look at the map, decide sort of what works for you, and the way to really know which route works the best is the whale. The whale offers a random 4 options. So you can see right here, this option, 100 gold. This guarantees the shop 100%. This shop is now extremely viable. And I get a card I want out of it. I can almost get 2 cards maybe, or I can get a card removal and remove a strike and bet that I'll get better attacks later into the game for scaling. All these event stuff I'll talk about later on. Upgrading a card, you can get a bash really quick, and a bash really quick would allow you to get closer to the elite, but that's not really that great, as you can see. You sort of want more than just upgrading a card. Obtain a curse, so a curse could instantly be removed at the shop, and you could transform 2 cards. This could be really good because there's no, you can get a rare card, you can get an uncommon card, you can get variety. You're not going to just get a common or a normal attack of it. You won't just get a strike back. So you can go in here, obtain a curse, get rid of 2 strikes, because the biggest problem, say with Ironclad, as you can see here, he has 6 attacks and only 4 blocks, but he heals. So that's how you have to go forward and decide. So this is a gamble. So usually these 2 options with the red are gambles. Like you can see here, lose your starting relic, obtain a boss relic. Ironclad really likes to trade health for damage. In a fight, you're usually not able to block, so you're usually, how can I optimally deal damage and lose health? Burning Blood really helps with that. Losing that can be really harsh, but you obtain a random boss relic that could be extremely good and change the entire way of how you play. I only really recommend this if you know what you're doing and you've experienced all the boss relics, or at least a majority of them, or else you will struggle with this as you'll get a boss relic and you'll not really know what the strengths and weaknesses are. So you can see the best option for me here is obtaining the 100 gold in this situation. So we take the 100 gold, we leave, we go into the first fight. I'm going to cut to the store. Alright, so here we are at the shopkeeper. So I picked up 2 cards so far. In my first route, I got Anger in the first fight. And in the second fight, I picked up Inflame, because that just makes the anger better. I was offered a few different cards, but for the most part, just leaning into that makes things easier. So now comes the biggest decision in this run through. There is a whole bunch of options. A shop is extremely overwhelming to a new player. So you can see I have 2 options before me. I have an upgrade and I have an elite. I would prefer to fight the elite, because the elite leads into a bonfire, so even if I struggle, I can heal. Or if I do really well in the elite, I can upgrade. So there's 2 benefits here, with a 3rd benefit always hanging. So no matter what, if I get 2 benefits or 3 benefits, it is still a net positive. So I really want to go fight that elite. Ways I can do that: gain 2 energy. It's going to allow me to pull off a lot of attacks in a turn, but not really that great. Skill potion could be very handy to get out of a slippery situation where I'm taking too much damage. But against one of, say, the elites like the Gremlin Knob, who hates when you play skills, that could be a bad potion. Apply 3 weak. This one's really good. It stops a lot of incoming damage. So you can play this when the boss starts to hit you for 24, and now he's only hitting you for, like, say 18 or 16. And now we have other options. We have the orange pellets, very good. This can allow you to cancel negatives on a card, or actually just stop debuffs, which in our case isn't too great because we're fighting Hexaghost. Hexaghost just puts burns into my deck. So first floor, this isn't going to really help me. Jesu Bracelet stops encounters in question mark rooms. This could be good and it could be bad. There is a downside to it. The downside is if you're going to a question mark, you're not guaranteed a card drop from a fight, but it does make the events a lot safer throughout the rest of the run, giving you sort of a benefit in that sense. So a lot of people really like that one early on. We got the meal ticket. Whenever you enter a shop, heal 15 HP. This isn't bad, but you already have healing on Ironclad. And as you can see here, the next shop isn't all the way up until near the end of the floor. So I'm only getting 1 other heal out of this going the route that I'd like to take. So that's not too great. Now we look at the cards. Cleave, not too great against Hexaghost. If I was fighting Slimeboss, this would be a really good card. Headbutt allows for recursion. You deal 9 damage, take a card you've already played, and put it on your draw pile. So you can bash, headbutt, put it back on top of your library, and then you're guaranteed a bash next turn, which is really good. We got Flame Barrier. This is really good against Hexaghost, so this is actually what I'm going to pick up. Gain 12 block whenever you are attacked this turn, deal 4 damage. So every time Hexaghost hits me, it takes 4 damage. So if Hexaghost is hitting me for 6 times 6, he's taking 24 damage on that turn. And I am, of course, blocking, well, 2/3 of that. So even on his mega attack, he still suffers some drawback for hitting us. Shrug It Off allows us to dig. That could allow us to set up our bash and our flame barrier. That's pretty good. Metallicize. The end of your turn, gain block. So this is really good in offensive or defensive decks. With Barricade, you can gain a lot of stacked block throughout the game. Or if you're playing a really offensive deck, you can play this and guarantee block even though you're going to be only attacking, which saves your health in the long term. So for me, the best cards here, this to fight Hexaghost and this to dig into my deck. There is an argument that could be made to go in here and remove a strike, because strike is 6 damage. You can see even a cleave is better than a strike. So late game, strikes are bad. I would rather see other cards in my deck. Right now I have a total of equal sort of defense and offense, but anger will change that throughout the fight. So what I'm thinking is I should remove a strike either way, because anger long term will make my deck imbalanced. And a strike is worse. I'd rather see anger, because anger is free, strike is 1, and I also get more anger over the fight. So you can clearly see the benefits there. Okay, now I'm going to come back once we get up here to the elite. So I'll be right back. Alright, so here we are at the first elite, and we are already going to see the product of our labor here. I have upgraded the flame barrier in my event. So now my flame barrier literally does a strike every time an opponent attacks me, and I block. I have also got my strength off this turn, so this is a huge benefit. So why do you want to go to elite? Elites always seem like a bad thing from a new player's perspective. The fight deals a lot of damage, creating a lot of health, and you're probably not getting what you want out of the fight long term. So now we get to this situation, so I have a whole bunch of different ways I can play this turn. My goal, as you can see, the sentries alternate. One is strategic, one is attacking, and they go back and forth, so the outside will always be attacking together. So I want to kill one on the outside. This guy has less health, so he's probably going to go first. I can bash him for 10 damage, which removes his artifact, but then I'm going to take a lot of damage. I could block up to 13 and take just 6 damage, but then that's slow because all I'm doing is getting a strike and an anger in. But as you can see, 16 damage compared to, well, 18 damage is not too much of a difference. It's only 2 damage difference, and I gave way more life, so I'm gonna go like so. So now this guy is close to killing, and lining up and doing all these things you don't really need to worry about. You really just, if you're starting out, you just want to kill one on the outside. That's the best way to always win these guys fight. So let's go through. We're gonna hit him a bunch. I could double block here, but I really just want to make sure that this guy is guaranteed to be killable next turn when I draw some cards. I want him off the playing field as fast as possible, so I lose as little health as possible, because I plan to hopefully be able to get 2 elites in without healing. Alright, we get a whole bunch of bad card draw, but we have a potion. So let's drink this. Alright, we have a whole bunch of options now. Of course, the option I like the most is the option that guarantees a kill. I'm going to drink said potion, and I get an option like Whirlwind, so 5 damage to all enemies. I also have Carnage. Carnage is in my deck for the rest of this fight, it's 20 damage, or I can get another copy of Anger. Whirlwind seems really good, but it's only 15 damage, and I cannot block. So I really don't like that. Of course you can block and then deal 10 damage to all enemies, which is fine. Then you only take 4 damage. Or you can go Carnage and you'll speed up how quickly you can kill the enemies. So personally, I'm going to go Carnage because 10 versus 20, although single target in a multi-enemy fight, I believe is the correct decision. So defend, and then we are going to just get rid of this one. And now we are sitting in a way comfortable position. We're taking, of course, 4 damage here. It's fine. We have 2 more potions out of our potion draw, and we are now in the part where the enemies are rotating and only one of them is attacking at a time. is really nice for us. We're gonna block, get the most block we can. We're gonna start hitting our enemy. It's much easier now in this fight to take less damage as quickly as one of them is gone. See, 1 damage this round instead of getting actually destroyed. So now we're of course going to play, maybe let's think about this. He hits us for 9. We hit him for 6. We deal 8 damage, so that's 14, not enough to kill him. It is possible that I can draw a card that might help me kill him, but I think that's not very likely, so let's just put him down to 2 health. It's very likely that we're going to be able to block this guy, or at least make sure the other one is dead next turn. Okay, so we get just our block, and we get to go like so, down a whole bunch of health. Maybe we could have killed him, so you can see this is the fun part of Slay the Spire, where there's so many different ways to say which is the right move and which move is the wrong move. You won't know until you're dead. Let's kill this guy. Alright, now we get the benefit of the elite fight. 33 gold and Pednib, so we get a relic. Every 10th attack is doubled. Very good relic. We get energy, it's an alright potion. Now we get more choices. Dark Embrace, whenever a card is exhausted, draw 1. Very good. A lot of cards in Ironclad have exhaust on them. Currently I do not have any, so that's not useful to me. Entrench, also not useful to me. Clothesline, apply to weak. I have nothing in my deck that applies weak yet. Clothesline is the choice. Now we can go over here. We're going to upgrade. We have a few options here. We can get more strength. We can get more weak. We get more vulnerable. We can increase our rage. We can increase our block. The correct answer, probably to help us actually beat Hexaghost. That's what we want in the end of this. The thing we want to defeat is Hexaghost, and the easiest way to do that is to increase our damage. So, up we go, and then next turn we'll probably upgrade Clothesline if that's offered to us later on in the run. But here we go. Gremlin Knob. We get our Inflame off the first turn. Very good. We can hit our opponent. There's no point in drawing a card because we like the possibility of just drawing it regularly. So this guy is very scary for a lot of new players because they'll mistakenly say I have to block when they don't need to. So here we go. He's dealing 10 damage to us. I can block, then he gains strength. Not a good trade. So we're just going to hit him once. We're going to take the 10 damage. Once he gets further down in the fight, he becomes a lot more terrifying, but right now he is a fine enemy to fight. So we have an option here. I like to keep him weak. Keeping him weak makes him easier to kill, and looks like we're going to come out Gremlin Knob pretty much okay. Only 20 damage, not a bad trade. Well, actually only 14 damage. Paper Frog, very good with Bash, so Bash just got a lot better. Weak or Intimidate off of this is sort of bad because it's a card draw and you only use it on that turn, so it doesn't provide any longevity. It's a pretty Act 1 card, but Act 2 and 3 it's not that great. Armaments, again, great Act 1 card. Act 3 or 4, not so great, but if you don't have a lot of upgrade cards in your deck, it could be good because it upgrades your entire hand. Then you got Headbutt for that recursion. We can recur our Clothesline and our Bash to stop attacks and get us the cards we want on specific turns, which is a very offensive play. We can go more defensive, but I like the offensive play right now. And I'll come back to you once we get all the way down to Hexaghost. Alright, here we are at Hexaghost. So let me, before we get into this fight, explain a few things. So you can see I only have 3 strikes now. I have 4 defends, I have a bash, I have a clothesline, I have a flame barrier, I have a shrug it off. So you can see here, I don't really have what most people like to call archetypes. You can say, well, I have a strength archetype. But really I have a recursion archetype because I'm going headbutt and rampage. And I have digging. So I personally hate archetypes. Never define yourself as an archetype or you'll railroad yourself into one thing. You can see at the start of this, I went strength, really good with anger, so I paired those up. But now you can see I don't have a lot of things that scale with strength. So strength isn't so much the main core of my deck anymore. It's more my block, my statuses, and then slowly over time building rampage, using true grit to remove cards from my deck. It's a lot of versatility. You have to always think, what is the best card that will help me for the boss, not what is the best card for my deck in particular. Like you can say, well, spot weakness is always good, inflame's always good, and then you pick up a whole bunch of weak attacks, which allows you a lot of strength scaling. But against Hexaghost, if I would have went with a sword boomerang over flame barrier, I would be having a way harder fight than I would need to. You always have to sort of on the fly say what would be the best combination in my deck and how can I make a deck that's good. You can see right now the biggest weakness I would say in my deck is I have no exhaust, nothing exhaust. I have no scaling for my strength. So I'm not gaining any benefit from True Grit for getting rid of cards out of my deck other than I'm making my recursion to rampage better. So that's the only benefit there. And the strength, the only true benefit out of that is how much it helps anger and my scaling through for damage throughout the fight, but that only happens once. So my strength scaling is sort of pretty bad. But with these card combinations here that I have, these are all really good for Hexaghost. Rampage is guaranteed to win me this fight against Hexaghost. Flame Barrier is guaranteed to win me this fight against Hexaghost. And the strength and True Grit are the cherry on top. So think about it that way. When you're going through and you're picking the cards you think are good and what cards are bad, always say, how does this help me against the boss I'm fighting at the end of this fight? And then after that, how are these cards good for the rest of the game? Because if you can think, oh, it's really good for just this boss, well, that's great, but then how does Flame Barrier get you through the rest of the game? And to the rest of the game, this is going to be destroying hallway fights. Or through the rest of the game, Shrug It Off is going to be drawing me cards. So you gotta think, how can this help me overall, and how does it help me against the fight I'm going against? And that's sort of the true beauty of coming up with good plays. So you can see here, he's just going through, he's preparing for his big attack next turn. So I want to give him weak. And I also would like to hit him with this. I would really like to have Flame Barrier next turn, but due to my card draw, I'm not going to get that. So 20 damage already off the top on the fight. The boss is weak. He's doing 24 damage to us. Good quick math there. So what I would like to do, of course, is block. We get Headbutt. Headbutt allows us to get back our Rampage really quick. But then we take 16 damage pretty much. Well, no, yeah, 16-ish. But I still do like that play because I can get in another block. So we'll get Rampage back on the top. We'll block 13. So we're blocking basically only 11 damage actually getting through. We managed to do a bit more damage. We did 15 more damage to the boss. You can see here we get slapped a few times. And now the fun part of the fight comes in. So I can easily just block this and go in for the Rampage, and now my Rampage has already been used 3 times. You can see my Rampage is now up to 24 damage already. So the quicker we can get that online before he gets back up to full charge, the better. We drew Rampage again. Holy smokes. This boss is not having a good time. We're going to block. We're going to hit him. And then we're going to hit him like so. I'd rather take less damage, and getting Rampage in is nice, but getting this vulnerability is going to help me more. And I'm very likely to probably maybe draw Headbutt. And then I also have Shrug It Off, which is going to help me block more, and I also get a weak attack. But I personally would rather probably get the there's no, I guess, yeah, I would rather full block. So let's hit full block. So block the flame on the burn and block the sear. So So he's adding more cards to our deck, which really does make Rampage Recursion worse for this fight. But overall, you'll see why it's perfectly fine. We have an option here. I think this is the turn where I would like to gain strength, but I'd rather do that when he's vulnerable. So I'm going to be a bit greedy. And we're going to go in and we're going to get as much damage as possible. I don't really want to exhaust a block, but it will help me draw more likely cards like Flame Barrier, which I'm getting next turn no matter what. So even though he's buffing and getting ready for an attack, we'll be doing hopefully just fine. We also have 2 potions if things start to get hairy, but as you can see, I'm already pretty far into the fight. So let's go like so. Let's headbutt him. This is going to tring over 1 card. Not really that great, but we're full blocking him. He's taking 12 damage off the hit. He's down to 67. He's about to full charge, which isn't great. As you can see here, we got 35 coming in on that attack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think here. So 5 plus this brings us up to 14. 39 plus 14 and a strike. I think that is lethal. Correct me if I am wrong. And there we go. Alright, so we have made it through the fight. We get our gold and we get a card. Ooh, so we have a few options here. Limit Break, only boost in flame. Not that great. Long term, I might get more strength, so I can bank on that. Berserk, really good on low ascension modes, bad on high ascension modes. It's an alright card. You can see we do have a lot of things that we can probably play with 1 more energy would be great. I'd rather get that energy from something like a Relic. Demon Form. That will make our scaling way faster and make us way more deadly. Because you can see right there, 8 strength is what won us this fight. So Demon Form is the correct answer, in my opinion. That will offer us way more onto the fight. Our Boss Relic. In energy, you can no longer smith, so no upgrades on your deck. That's pretty bad. Elite drops another Relic. Tiny House. So this, potentially, you get a lot of elite fights, can be really good. This, if you get an armament or some other upgrade in your deck, this could be really good. This one is sort of a neutral. It's not bad, but it's not great. You get a card, you upgrade a random card, you obtain a potion, it's alright. But I can probably, if I get 2 elite fights, get way more value out of the Black Star than the Tiny House. So that's what I would pick. So now I want to talk about a few more things. So let's go forward and talk about them as we go. In Act 1, it's all about getting as much as you can out of the floor, as much as you possibly can, so that you have an easier time in Act 2, because Act 2 is by far the worst act. You can see here we have this nice friendly dude up at the top. He is single target, so that's what we're going to be aiming for. And now we have a whole bunch of options. He's not single target, he does have 2 floating minions. I should correct myself there. So single target can be really good if I can get my rampage scaling there quick enough to ignore it. We got a few options here. 1, 2, 3, question mark, campfire, elite. That seems really good. I really like that side. If we go this way, we get an upgrade, we get an elite into a potential another upgrade up here, and we get this way. So going into this route gives me more flexibility to go up this way, which isn't bad. We can go into this way, not really that great. If I go up this way, I can go into here and out that way. See, on the left side is alright too. On the right side, you can see there's not too many shops until the end, but we only have 150 gold. So now I want to talk to you. So the first goal in Act 1, get as much resources as possible. Now your goal for Act 2 is to get to the end, gaining as much as you can. So you can see we have Black Star, so we would like to hit 1 elite minimum and 2 elites if possible. You can see right now the only way to hit 2 elites for our Black Star is on the left here. which is actually the correct route. If you would have been thinking, okay, without the black star, the right side is definitely safer. You only fight one elite, but then you don't get the benefit from the black star. So you always have to keep thinking, what is my best way to gain as much as I can in an Act 2? Gaining as much as you can is what you want to do. So either one of these, it doesn't matter. Either way, we're going this way. This one options us this way in case we don't want to take the event. So let's go through this way, and I'll talk to you guys once we get up to that elite. Alright, so here we are at the elite. We have gone through and gained quite a few cards. So this first fight is pretty interesting. We get a few options here. You can inflame, demon form. Not really the most optimal start. We would prefer to start with flame barrier, true grit, or a few other things. So we can apply some weak. Right now we are taking 13 plus 18. So we're taking up to like 31 damage here. Not that great. So this is gonna weaken. Build our pen nib, or we can go more strength into that attack. The reason we do that isn't, well, we save ourselves 6 damage, which is more than blocking, personally. We do still take a large amount of damage, but fine. Okay, now we get a whole plethora of options. We're gonna go like so. We have nothing we really want to recur except maybe demon form, but I'd rather start working towards getting this bad boy off the field. This fight, you can see we got a bunch of minions. They're a little bit annoying. They're basically representation of the boss at the end of the level. We just want to kill the gremlin leader with this deck. The best way probably to take as least amount of damage as possible. Let's see here. We don't have a wizard on the field, so we're also doing fine in that front. We're taking a large amount of damage here. I am going to potion and keep hitting him. Okay. This is a little bit more damage than I'd like to take, but we can rest at the campfire if needed. We are getting the strength off our red skull, which is fine. We are getting a whole bunch of different options here. I would have liked to draw you on any other turn than the turn, really. We have nothing to recur. We can gain more strength. For me personally, the correct play, probably in something like a flame barrier and pick off one of these minions. So now the minion is weaker. This guy's getting pretty weak. That one's dead. He's going to buff him, which is fine. Going to question mark, so he's resummoning, which is fine for us. We are going to hit that one. Ooh, we can Burning Pact here. Exhausting a defend. That good? Not sure. So my first play is going to be hitting him. I think I do want to potentially draw a strike. We didn't get it, so that's not great. Burning Pact has ruined our day. We should have drawn a strike. It was basically in the probability that we should have. He's going to summon another 2. Flame Barrier would be really great right now. Of course, no Flame Barrier. So we can pick one of these guys off, like so. We can pick another one off. And we can kill. So we're not taking any damage this turn. We really want to get closer to getting rid of this guy now that he has 9 strength. Choosing to just build up his resources, which is fine for us. We could possibly draw an anger. Very good. Okay, so we are resting at the bonfire, as you can see. But we are still, no matter what, getting the reward from this elite. And there's not too much I'd really upgrade, so that's fine by me. These guys run away when the elite is dead. Okay, bronze scales, very good. The boot, This one's sort of a alright one. Not great, it's not horrible. Do I want 2 burning packs? I think I have enough digging. 2 card draw, 2 card draw. Oh, I have 3 card draw. Maybe another burning pact wouldn't be horrible. Okay, come over here. We're gonna heal. We're gonna go up to 45. And then we're gonna go right into the next elite fight. Ooh, so this one's really good if you have AoE, which we do not. But we do get to start off with a flame barrier, a block potion, into a rampage, and you want to kill this one over here. He stops you from attacking. So now we're dealing 9 damage, by the way, on our flame barrier, which is why bronze scale is really good. So you can see they're taking a huge amount of damage. Even if they're just hitting me once, that's an insane amount of damage they're taking. Hey, now it's offering us a lot of different ways to go about this. I want card draw to potentially kill this guy here, which we got. I'm willing to take 14 damage just to make sure he's not on the board. So 3 damage, they're still taking damage even when we lose health. So it is sort of a fair trade, but not really. Now we are going to want to block. We have taken a large amount of damage, and another block plus an inflame. Not a bad turn. We only take 1 damage. They take 6 total. So really good turn for us, not so good turn for them. Our red skull's going off again, which is why it's such a great relic, because you're very likely to always be at low health. We can do 13 damage here, applying weak with a shrug it off, or we can go shrug it off into a true grit on the wound, allowing us to, of course, block again for a full block, and then we could likely get rid of this guy because he's just hitting us for a large amount of damage, and we're not too worried about the wounds in our deck. We're more worried about the low health, so we're going to get rid of him first. Alright, get a few options here, but I like the option where he is gone. So let's return probably a clothesline onto top is probably the correct play here. Get rid of that dude. Block. And take 2 damage here, but we're dealing 3. Optimal trade, just getting lower on the health. Alright, now we have a few options here. We're just gonna go like so. We are gonna burning pack the wound, see if we draw an anger. Nope, well, that's fine. He's going to take 9 damage for hitting us once. And we're quite possibly gonna get him next turn. So let's see here, 14. That should be enough. Yep. Goodbye. And that's another elite. He gives us Bag of Preparation and Regal Pillow. And then, of course, we get more options in here. Whenever you lose HP from a card, gain Strength. That's really good with Combust, which we don't have. And we're going to skip. We don't need more card removal. We're perfectly fine with where we are. Go to the chest. 24 gold, a lantern, not bad, making our first turn really good with mutagenic strength. And we're gonna go here. We're gonna heal. We're gonna get a large amount of benefit with that with the Regal Pillow. We're now back up to pretty much full health. This fight, you usually want to kill this Centurion first. So let's do just that. Go like so. Yeah, Rampage. And then we can Burning Pact, or we can just make it so we get Rampage next turn, which I personally like more. So next, very good first turn. He takes 9 damage for hitting us, and so does this nice fine healer, or I mean Mystic. We do not get to play our demon form here. We're having a hard time playing it, but really, I think the best play here is shrug it off, plus another block and Rampage. I think that's fine for us. He's getting heal, but he is taking quite a large amount of damage. 16 heal, not bad, up to 43. They're both prepping, allowing me to go in for a large amount of damage. Head Nib and Anger would done Same damage on the slash or I should say the strike or the anger. So here we go. We're likely going to get this guy down here pretty quickly. Going to play an inflamed, which is going to allow us to murder him. We're going to have to play both attacks, but that's fine, because we get our rampage back on the top of our deck, and rampage is now hitting for 32 damage already. That's the main goal of our deck, is rampage, rampage, rampage. So block, rampage. There we go. They take 9 damage for attacking, pretty much guaranteeing that we will kill them next turn no matter what with our strength currently on our character. Boom, bada bing, there's another fight. There's another thing, spot weakness gets us more strength. We have a large amount of strength gain already. That just makes it a little bit faster. We have cleave, which allows us some multi-target attacks. Cleave can be argued for here, so it could spot weakness. I'm going to skip and grab the shop. And in the shop we get offered a Hand of Greed, Nunchucks, War Paint, and Chemical X, along with a few things. This scales 3 times off strength. This draws us more cards. This gets us more block. Potions, very good. Remove a card, very good. We probably want, out of all of these, let's see, what skills do I not have? I have all my blocks are unupgraded. I have these 3. So there's a 3 out of 7 is what we want, which is a little bit low, but it does make this alright, but not too great. Duplication potion could be good on the rampage. Not too great, but I think it's our best option is to pick up a duplication potion into a flex potion. Don't need more card draw. Warcry is really bad. It costs 0, so you draw this, takes up a card slot. You then draw another card and put a card from your hand on top of your draw pile. So you lose 2 cards, 2 card slots in your hand for 1 card. So only when this is plus is it ever considered good. This is sort of just a bad card. It could be, you can make the argument that it gets me to rampage quicker. Not really that great though. So we grab that. I am also going to remove a strike. I believe that scales well with us, and I'll come back to you once we're at the boss fight. Alright, here we are at the Bronze Automaton. Let's get this show on the road. We would like, in our first turn, to have Demon Form go off. We didn't get it. This is still a fine turn. We can go with a clothesline and then into a rampage, and that's a fine turn. We get some strength. This isn't too bad. We like to get Demon Form off before the minions take our cards, so we are going to do that this turn. We can play your next card twice, and let's give ourselves some more anger, and let's start taking out the orb on the left. We're probably going to want back what they steal in case they take a rampage, which is very likely. So we are taking a bit of damage here. Open to proc that heal or that strength off the red skull. Okay. Enemies are all doing things. They're not hitting us, so we are going to try and get another attack into our hand. And we're going to get this orb near death. The orb is almost dead. It's going to take a Burning Pact. We don't really mind if that stays out of our hand or not, but it's not the end of the world. We would like to have our defense on this turn, but we're not getting it. So let's get rid of you. That's an alright move. We can try and go in like so, but I think better move like this, and we can probably, am I drawing an anger? I am. Lost a Burning Pact. Nope. Oh, we tried. But as you can see here, our strength is through the roof, so this fight isn't going to last much longer, hopefully. Okay. Alright. And pull that rampage back. And we can go in and just hit him here. And Nib is ready to go. Very good. So we can now hit him for 128. Can we get him? Quite possible. I get 2 cards off this. There we go. And that's the Guardian. 90 gold, a potion for healing, and now we get very fun options. We of course really like the double tap, so we're gonna grab that because that really makes our rampage through the roof. So we are now a rampage deck. I don't really have anything left I would want to transform. We are gonna pick that one up. Probably going for the bell. We do also have a lot of things to remove Mark of Pain from our deck. Or remove the wounds from our deck. We have 3 exhaust cards. We have Burning Pacts. And we have the True Grit. So we can easily get rid of the 2 wounds that we add to our deck for the energy increase. Or we can go for the bell. I think we are going to go and get ourselves 2 wounds in our deck, which is fun, and we'll see you guys at the final boss here. Alright guys, here we are. I went through my first turn, which was pretty simple. We went double tap, rampage into a headbutt, get the rampage back, shark it, get the rampage back. And now the fight's looking way nicer. Of course, we played into half of the time before he cuts off our turn. But we're perfectly fine. This turn I am liking getting off a flame barrier, but also getting off the strength is also equally as good, because in the long run we want to be dealing more damage, and that's how we're going to get it. Our pen nib is ready to go. He's hurting himself every time he hits us. So you can see once you get to the end game, it's all about realizing the strengths and weaknesses of your deck. Right now, the biggest weakness of my deck when I came into Act 3 was the fact that I was depending on solely just Rampage. So you can see I added a Whirlwind and I added a Heavy Blade. So that if I can't get Rampage, I can at least draw a card that does a large amount of damage. This scales really good with strength. This scales really good with strength. This works with double tap. Sadly, this doesn't. So you can see there are some weaknesses, but this also allows you to kill multiple targets. So there's some benefits, some weaknesses, all the standard stuff. We are going to Burning Pact the wound. Okay, we draw an inflamed, and then we are of course going to go like so. And we are not going to waste our pen nib on a strike. We'd rather take the damage, take the card draw loss. Now we have real fun options. 32 times 4. That's going to be at least 120 damage right there. And we also have the 130 coming in right here. Now, if we can pair this up with another source of damage, we might be looking way hotter. So we're going to get rid of this card. See what we can draw, and ooh, and you can see right there the power of double tap plus such cards. So now he is way down on health. We may be getting lower on health, but we are overall winning as we are going way faster than the boss. Way faster than the boss. So we are going to Burning Pact, dig in our deck some more, and we draw a victory. So you can see, once you figure out your strengths and your weaknesses after are in Act 2, from what you've done to first floor, gather as much as you can, gain all those resources, fight as many elites as you can, upgrade as many cards as you can, get as many cards as you can to get through that first boss. Then in floor 2, slowly solidify yourself. Remove your weaknesses, find out what really works for you, and then in Act 3, just really clean up your deck. And it makes going through the end boss super easy. You get to the heart, you get an easy win. So remember, I'll go through it. In fact, I'll just read through what I wrote down. So what you're going to want to do is I'll put this in the description. Look at the map first. There's boss, first 3 combats, bonfire, elite, card, shop, all these things you want to take into account. Whale, how does it help you accomplish those first things when you first see the map? And how does that help you towards the boss and the long term beyond the boss? Building your deck. Remember, Act 1, gather as much resources. Act 2, play safe but aggressive as possible to really solidify your deck. Decide what you want to build in Act 3 and solidify it so that you can actually win with a really powerful deck. Remember, the core things to getting 1 to 3 done is deck theory, archetypes. Don't really go too into archetypes. Don't wall yourself into an archetype. Remember, decide what is a good card and a bad card versus the boss you're fighting and your deck combination. Remember, scaling. Strength is a scaling thing. Multiple attacks, scaling, certain things like that. Card draw, scaling. Defense powers are all scaling that you want to take into account what can help you really in the end game. And why defining an archetype is bad, because if you say, oh, I'm really good at a strength archetype, you'll only pick up strength cards and the game might not even be offering them to you, and you might not get enough cards. You get to Act 2, you don't have enough cards, you can't fight your way through, you die. So don't get trapped in an archetype. Build your own deck. Your deck will become its own archetype as it goes on. You can see I have exhaust in this deck. I have strength in this deck. I have multiple attacks. I have recursion. In fact, I have pretty much every single archetype in this deck. So do not get trapped in an archetype. Build your deck, and your deck is your archetype. Your archetype is ironclad. Your archetype is the silent. Don't get trapped into the silent plus the shiv. Don't get trapped in that. You will lose. Deck building. Remember, what does your deck do? What is the goal of your deck? My deck at the start, after the first act, was to recur Rampage. I had strength scaling and a few other things in there, just in case I need to get out, and I also had some exhaust, so I can go that way. So I could go into every route, and I wasn't trapped. The strengths of that was I could deal a large amount of damage with Rampage. Weaknesses, I only had 1 Rampage. How did I get out of that? Later on, we got some more better attacks to weaken the boss, flame barrier, other such things. We got into whirlwind, double tap, and heavy blade, and we got our card draw. This deck has everything, and I would have been able to do it without deciding strengths and weaknesses, without deciding what an archetype is, because if I would have stuck to that, I would have been stuck. So that's how you win in Slay the Spire. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you. Let me know if I can make this better. Let me know if there's anything you want to hear. And thank you, of course, for watching. You have a good day. It's your boy, Sinner, heading out.